What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm out here still putting these bushings in. I got the bushings put in. We're getting ready to do the axle alignment. I still have the inner 4 tires off right there. These are all the bushings, junk bushings that come out of there, and all the junk bolts and washers and everything piled up in the pile there. Like I say, I still got the inner tires off. I've got the bolts stuck through there, the new bushings in. The bolts are still loose to do the alignment. And just stick a ratchet in that square drive right there and rotate this to move your axle forwards and backwards. And take you around over here. I had to do some wheel repair on this bracket right here. You can see that. This was actually had been broken before and was welded, but it was welded in the wrong place. The bolt had been, or the washer was out of it and the bolt had been tightened up, so this had been sucked in and it was welded like that. And when I got ready to put the new bushing and new washer back in there, it would not fit, so I had to cut this apart and spread this bracket out, re-weld it, and then put the washers in there, the new bushing and washer in there. And I left this bolt here pretty loose. You can see how it's moved, but it ain't no big deal. But what we're doing is we're about to get ready to do the axle alignment. I'm gonna do that before I put the tires back on there, because I got one rim that is different than the others. I've got 3 steel inside rims and 1 aluminum inside rim, and so that'll cause a difference the way I'm doing my alignment if I put those on right now. So we'll go ahead and do the alignment first, and I'll show you guys how I'm doing that. All right, so I got a Bosch laser level. I forget the model number of it. I'll show you here what we're doing. It's a GLL 380. If anybody needs one of these, I bought this to work on my house with, and I found a million uses for it ever since. And this thing was pretty expensive. I think I paid about $700 for it, but it does some neat stuff. If you look down the trailer, edge of the trailer here, it's shooting a laser line across this bracket, and you can see it on down that way, and you can see it across this way as well. And it's shooting that line down here on the floor. I don't know if you can pick it up on camera. It's kind of a faint line because it's daylight out here. You can see it right there. You can make it out right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a line on the floor with a Sharpie like that right there. And you can do this with a plumb bob as well. What I'm doing right here, because all we're doing is establishing where the trailer edge is in relation to the floor, and I'll show you why we're doing that in a minute. But you want to do this as far forward on the trailer as you can, and I'm as far forward as I can be because of the landing gear, and my shop is not big enough. My shop's only 40 foot this way, and this trailer is 48, so that's as far as I can get to is the landing gear. So you could do this part here with the plumb bob and just hang it down and let it hang down. You want to make sure your trailer is level left to right, and I'm doing that by dropping the landing gear because the truck's a little crooked, because the truck's not sitting on concrete. And you can see I picked the trailer up off the 5th wheel right there a little bit, got a little bit of gap there. So I'm gonna take this around to the other side and put a mark on the floor over there as well, and then I'll come back and show you what we're gonna do with that mark. All right, guys, I got the mark on the other side. The trailer brakes have to be released, and the trailer has to be sitting at right height. In other words, there has to be air in the airbag so the trailer is picked up. All right, guys, this is what I got rigged up right here to do this with. I got a tape measure right there on the floor on each side. You can see it. One there, one on that side. I've got a 2x6 right here, and I just put some 10 screws in it. Got a piece of hay string, got it looped over the top of the tire right there. And you want to make sure that your board or whatever you're using is flat against the tire all the way across, because if it's hanging out like this, you know, with a big gap at the bottom, that's not going to work. But this laser level has a bolt in the back, or a spot for a bolt in the back of it for mounting on a tripod, just like a camera does. And it's a 1/4 inch bolt. I had a 1/4 inch bolt I had to rig up. I just put a bunch of washers on it to get it to the right length. And I just got it hanging there like that. And this thing has a 3 positions here. That's off, that's on, that's the lock position. You see it flashing, that's telling you that it's in the lock position. And it does not level that way. If you turn it on the 3rd switch, it levels, which that only works if it's sitting flat. In other words, it's for if you set it in the floor up like this right here, you can see the thing in there, it will self-level. But when you got it like this, that function does not work, and that's why it's beeping. It's telling you that it's not able to self-level in that position. So you put it back to lock, and it will just show a straight line, and you can use that for whatever, if you're hanging a picture in your house or whatever. But you want to make sure this is up against the tire as flat as possible. And we're going to go down here and get a reading on the tape measure and see what it says. It says we are at about 12.5 inches. So we are going to go to the other side. We're going to move this to the other side here and do the same thing over there and see what it says. So let me tote this around to the other side, and I'll be back with you. All right, guys, I walked around. I got it hanging on the tire on the opposite side of the trailer here. So we're going to go down here and get a measurement, see what this side shows. It shows 4 inches. So we are 8 inches off. So we should be around 4 inches, around 8 inches on each side when we get it centered. Somewhere thereabouts. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back here and adjust these alignment collars right here. Let me get my wrench over there, and we'll adjust it and see what changes it makes. All right, I've got my wrench on it right there, and we're going to adjust this down like that right there, which is pushing that axle backwards on this side. And we're going to walk down here and check it. We know we should be around 8 inches. That moved it to around 5 1/4. So we'll go a little bit more. So we get it pretty close to the 8 inch mark. I got us to about 5 1/2, a little better. I think we're going to have to go around on the other side and adjust the other side backwards some. I'm about out of adjustment on this side. That's got us to about 6 inches right there. So we're going to swap back to the other side, and we'll be able to adjust the rest of it out on the other side right there. All right, guys, I'm back on this side. I've adjusted right here, and I've got it down to 9 inches over here on this side. See it right there? It's 9 inches. We're going to go back, put it back on the other side, and double check to see where we're at over there, and make the final adjustment. And I actually want it a little bit more. Let's see if I can explain this. I actually want the axles a little bit more pointed this way, because the road is sloped in this direction. And whenever these bushings start wearing, when you load the trailer, it will track further to the right. because the bushings are wore than it will when it's empty. And that's what was going on. That's the reason I'm changing these bushings, or have changed these bushings, is before I could put my drive tires on my truck on the yellow line, and my trailer tires, looking in the mirror, would be about, I'd say, 2 inches off of the yellow line. When I got a load put on it, it would be about 6 inches off the yellow line. So the trailer was tracking to the right approximately 6 inches loaded and about 2 inches empty. So I knew something was going on with the bushings. And so I'm gonna leave it to where the axles are pointing towards the yellow line just a little bit. And I may try like an inch. I may put it at 9 on this side, at 8 on the other, wherever we're at. I may let it go that way, because I know when you load the trailer that it's gonna change, it's gonna lessen that measurement a little bit, because the road is sloped this way. And so the trailer leans that way. And so it puts a stress on those bushings that the axles wanna go that way. So by doing it with axles pointed this way just a little bit, it should kind of correct some of that, hopefully. That's my thought on it anyway. So I'm gonna try that and see how that works out. And if I need to adjust it, all I gotta do is come back and do this process again. So I'm gonna try it that way and see how things go. But right now I'm gonna go around the other side, and we'll see what our measurement is over there. All right, guys, I got that job wrapped up, except for finishing cleaning up the mess a little bit. I got most of it cleaned up, but anyway. I had some unexpected results there. I was going for about an inch out so that the axles would run uphill towards the crown in the road, about an inch in that distance that I was measuring. And whenever I tightened my first axle up, it moved. And whenever I went back and double checked it, it was about 2 inches. And so I just set the other axle to that as well and said, I'll try it there and see where I'm at. It'll give me a baseline. And when I went and test drove it, it still looked like it was tracking to the right a little bit. So I come back and loosened it back up and changed it, and adjusted it out 2 more inches. So I'm 4 inches out from one side of the trailer to the other side of the trailer, and went back and drove it, and it looks like it's tracking more straight behind the truck now. So the axles are pointed up the hill towards the crown of the road, towards the center of the road, 4 inches more than the other. So I got 4 inches difference in my measurement, in other words. And there's a couple things that I figure could be causing that. One is, most of the time you measure from the center of your kingpin or your hitch or whatever, which is essentially what I was doing by doing it the way I was doing it, or trying to do. But my concrete is not long enough, my shop's not big enough to be able to put something in the center of the kingpin and measure that way. So I had to do it the way I had to do it. Second thing is, you know, you probably know, I don't know what these trailers come from at the factory, but they got to be a little bit allow for the crown in the road making your trailer want to track to the right, especially being loaded. So I don't know what they're set at from the factory. The third thing is, this trailer, I believe, has been wrecked before I got it, or something twisted in some kind of way, because the trailer leans to the right. It always has leaned to the right ever since I got it, and you can only tell when it's loaded. So I didn't know when I bought it that it was like that, or I wouldn't have bought it. But I had done bought it, and I was kind of stuck with it, you know. So it's been like that ever since I had it, and so that's probably another thing that's causing it to have to be, the axles to be off that far. But even so, 4 inches sounds like a lot, but you got to remember that's in 30 foot or whatever the distance was, 35 foot or whatever the distance was between the landing gear and the back of the trailer that I was measuring. So you can move the axle on one side of the trailer 1/4 of an inch, and it'll change it up there, you know, an inch or two. I'm not exactly sure, but you know, because you're changing in such a long distance, you know, in the angle of it. So anyway, that's the variables that, but at least it gives me a baseline, and I can come back, and if it's not tracking just like I want it to, it's dark outside now, so I was having a little trouble seeing exactly where it was tracking, but by looking in my mirrors, the best I could tell, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna haul a load with it like that, and if I need to adjust it, I will. But at least I got a baseline. I can come back it in here. I know where I'm at, and if I need to adjust it an inch or two this way, one side or the other, as long as I'm moving both axles the same amount, so that I don't get any funny tire wear between the two axles, So that's what's important, and I want it tracking straight behind the truck, regardless of what the measurements there say on the trailer, on what I'm measuring, as long as both axles are the same. So anyway, I got it all done, except for greasing it. I forgot to grease it. I'll pull it back in here tomorrow and finish that up. So anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you next time.